Huzzah and well met, my friends. And today I have decided to preload this video about Allay. Um, I have released Allay videos in the past, and this is going to cover all of those videos in one singular video and update a couple of things that have changed, as well as address some issues with a previous video on my quote unquote perfect Allay sorter. Um, one of the things that I mentioned about the length of the water streams in that one is wrong, so we will cover that here, and we will have this whole thing concluded with the most comprehensive Allay video I think I've made yet, which sounds a lot more impressive than it really is. So let's get into it. Uh, Allay are pretty neat. They'll help you a lot of the time, and I will say right off the bat that I prefer Allay to copper golems. They do about the same thing, and copper golems are much more inefficient in my experience. Plus, you also have to maintain them by keeping the oxidization chiseled off from them. So, about Allay, you can find an Allay either at a woodland mansion or occasionally at an outpost, a pillager outpost. They will be in a cage with up to 4 Allay inside, but as long as you find one, you have all the Allay that you need. They're very easy to duplicate. Actually, there should be a record in there. All right. All you need to do to duplicate an Allay is to put on some tunes, or any record really. I guess 13 doesn't count as tunes, and hand one of them an amethyst shard, and it will just duplicate an Allay. It doesn't take two, it just takes the one. They'll dance to the record, and it takes a minute for an Allay to reset and make another duplicate. But like I said, if you have one Allay and you have amethyst shards and a record and a jukebox, you have all the Allay that you will ever need. So if you find one, be very careful taking it home. They can fit in a minecart, they can fit two in a boat, and most importantly, you can fit one in a hopper with a half slab, a top half slab over top of them. At some point in the past, you could have an Allay underwater and they regenerated enough that they would survive even drowning. But that's no longer the case if that was the case. And even if you give them an item, they will drown. So be careful of that if you have older farms or use some of my older information or comments where Allay were stated to be able to survive underwater because they no longer do. Now, Allay will take an item that they've picked up and throw it at a note block that they can get to. So we're going to give this one a diamond. And we'll throw a diamond in there. So it goes down to this end, or it should. And the Allay will come and grab them and throw them at the note block. If there's a note block, they will not throw the items to you usually. And if there's you but no note block, they will throw the items to you. Um, their AI gets a little bugged out occasionally, and it will cause them to maybe throw the item at you or not recognize a note block. You may need to relog, or you may need to just take the item away and reset your Allay. We've talked about golems not sorting out enchanted books by enchantment, and the same goes for Allay. If ever that they did sort by enchantment, that is no longer the case. So give them a plain book. Don't pick the book up yourself. Give them a plain book, and they will go and pick up any enchanted book that you find. Or they will not. That would be why. To take an item from an Allay, just give them nothing. But if you give one an enchanted book, it will pick up all enchanted books, even if they're not a matching enchantment. So if you give one a mending book, it will pick up any enchantment. That's sharpness, even the curses. But giving them a plain book doesn't work. That needs to be an enchanted book, or they will only pick up plain books. And how we can use this is into a sorting system that I have taken other designs of and worked out the kinks. So you have a water stream sending items along a path for your Allay to pick up. And they have a sort of set timer or a cooldown for picking up and tossing an item to a note block. That's about 3 seconds. They will pick up items that match the item you've given them. And as we just discussed, if you give them an enchanted book, they will pick up all enchanted books. But if you give one a wooden sword, it will only pick up wooden swords. This makes them really great for unstackable items because they will have the one in their hands and their single slot inventory can hold a stack or another unstackable item. So you will have your Allay pick up perhaps a golden sword from a gold farm that uses a trident killer to finish off piglins, and they will try to throw it at the nearest note block. So we have a system here that has, as long as there are items in the dropper, we are able to activate all of these note blocks and have our Allay toss the items towards the note blocks, which are immediately picked up by the hoppers that they're sitting inside of. And we can do this with spears. It's kind of hard to see. I didn't think that one through very much, but you can see that they're all holding spears, and they can sort out all the free spears that you get. These ones are unset, and it's very easy to reset what you have an Allay holding. It may be a good idea to cover them with a trap door so they don't get confused about things. As I said, their AI can be a little buggy. But all in all, what happens is you have items inside our bottom dropper, and I took them out before the machine could fire, but you'll see as we have items in the dropper, we get a signal. This comparator is checking through our blue concrete block into the dropper behind it, and if there is an item there, it activates this whole circuit. Now, this is a design on my own part in that a redstone lamp will stay on for one whole tick, and this extra bit at the end with the redstone lamp and the observers is so that you have a final tick that will empty out your droppers. So nothing gets left in this system. The comparator sends a signal on through all of our 4-tick redstone repeaters to this blue concrete block, which powers the redstone lamp. Once it powers on or off, our observers observe that, and then this second observer observes the observer and sends our signal onward. So how this works is once this signal dies out here from this redstone repeater, the redstone lamp will stay on just a split second longer, and when it turns off, our observer will observe that, allowing one final extra tick through here. So we have redstone dust going to this target block, which powers our bottom dropper. and powers our top dropper. As you can see, all of this redstone here has to be split so that it goes to this target block, powering this dropper, and powering the redstone, which powers this repeater, powering this line of redstone dust, and these concrete blocks, which powers our note blocks. They're turned off so you can't hear them, but the Allay still react and try to throw any items that they have in their inventory towards the note block. And since they will only pick up an item that matches what they're holding in their hands, we can cause each one of these to be picked up. So we put them in the chest, they'll go through the item hopper into the dropper. Take these hoppers out of here so they stop gummying up the system. And you'll see we have a wooden sword in that hopper. That one hasn't been dispensed yet. The copper sword, diamond sword, and netherite. Using the droppers means that we get random chance dispensing or dropping each item as we go. And we just repeat the system over here. As you can see, this is the same build except that the water stream butts right up to this hopper instead of having the chest over top of it like before. In the next example, we would just have a water stream in this block right here. And you can repeat this as many times as you want. Just be sure to put wool between them so that each individual activation of note blocks doesn't confuse the other Allay, because they're going to be firing at different times and different rates. And always keep your repeaters to 4 ticks. This makes sure that there is enough time for the Allay to reset and grab the unstackable items. Once they're there, you can just have them placed in a chest if you'd like. Unstackable items would be pretty quick to fill up a hopper, but you could put them over top of a storage silo or send them on their way however you'd like. Perhaps using one of my dropper designs or using a storage silo design. Anything that makes it all the way through and an Allay does not pick up will just be dropped out the end here. And I recently had a comment about a system similar to this that would... Whoop. Oh, that chest was destroyed since it's creative mode. It didn't fall in. They wanted a system for their raid farms that did not require the dropper. You could just have the items drop into the hopper and use the same thing. If you wanted to have the Totems of Undying, which is what they specifically requested a sorting system for, and they ended up designing their own. But in my thinking about it, you would overwhelm your Allay in doing something like this, so you might want all 7 of these Allay to be holding a Totem of Undying, and whichever one catches it would be well enough. You could take and place a chest there and have all of these hoppers ultimately pointing to that chest, and all of the items that these Allay are holding would end up in this chest at the end, as you can see. That would not work. With just a water stream going through and trying to sort all the items, just because the number of items that come out of a raid farm would overwhelm your Allay. You get crossbows, enchanted books, emeralds, totems of undying, random weapons, random armor. Well, I don't know that you get random armor. I've never built any raid farms. I would highly recommend using the dropper setup so that your Allay aren't overwhelmed, and if you use it well, you will never have any missed items. And that is really all I have for you about Allay. If you want to watch the older videos, I can link those in the description of this video. But this video is going to be set to go public on the upcoming weekend where I will once again be working. I was given an unexpected chance to be home for a couple of days, but it was not on schedule. And so if this video seems a little hasty, I apologize. Um, I am super happy with the results lately from the Copper Golem video. Uh, there have been an influx of new subscribers and comments and likes and views, and I very much appreciate that. If you're watching this far into the video, I would appreciate you liking and subscribing as well. I hope that you're finding these videos helpful and the channel is suddenly thriving again. Also, let me know what you think of the new thumbnails I've been using um, at a suggestion from another viewer who thought maybe my thumbnails were a little uninteresting and perhaps that they were not giving anybody a sense of what the video was about. So hopefully these newer ones are helping. Let me know what you think, and I hope you're blessed on your next quest. I am off to my next adventure.